So we can see, working at our command line of the Ubuntu machine, how we can start using our regular expressions. And this would be the same pretty much on any version of Unix, OS X, or, as I'm using here, Ubuntu. But this really shouldn't matter the distribution that we are using. If we go through and look for something like grep, and let's go through and look for server, and we're going to look for this in the etc and ntp.conf, and let's go through and look in the original one that we backed up. Now we can see when we go through and match, we're matching on server, not just at the beginning of the line, but we're seeing matches further in the line as well. So if we want to restrict our search just to the occurrence of server at the beginning of the line, that's where we can start to implement anchors. So if I go through now and just put the anchor in front, because we're starting to use some special characters, it's generally a good idea to ensure that the string that includes the regular expression is then quoted in single quotes. So now we're looking for server at the beginning of the line, and you can see then that's given me exactly what I required. In the same way, we have the anchor for the end of the line, and that's the $ symbol. Very often this is where we want to see the value of a setting. We perhaps know the configuration name, but we want to see the options or values that actually set. So if I go through and we're going to grep, and we can go through and grep, let's say, for the number 4, and being at the end of a line, so we're going to use the $. And of course we'll just put the single quotes back around this. And we can then go through and search from etc, and then we'll have the logrotate.d directory, and we'll look at all files within there. So we can see here we're rotating certain files, and we've got rotate 4 written a few times here, or 4 times. Nothing to do with the fact that we search for 4, it just happens to be in these files 4 times. So on one occasion in each of these separate 4 files. And this is just specifying, if you like, how many backup copies we keep when we rotate log files. So this way we've been able to implement a search of values by looking for 4 being at the end. If we want to go through and reverse our search to see where we don't have 4 at the end, then we can go back and use grep and -v. So this then is showing where we don't have 4 at the end. But of course then this is showing me many settings, not just of course the rotate settings. So we can clear out. We will see with ranges how we can implement a range of numbers that we want to search for, perhaps at the end of the string. Going back to the NTP backup that we were looking at before, we can search for empty lines by implementing then our regular expressions where the line starts with, so I'm going to use then the caret symbol, and then $, where the line starts with the end of line marker. So this is our blank line. So we can go through and then put etc ntp.conf.back. So this is then only showing me empty lines. But of course I want to see everything but the empty line, so I can use grep -v. Remember, v is reversing our search. So that shows me everything but empty lines. We can really see what's going on here when I go through and use cat -vet and then look at that last argument, and we're going to see now that lines that are blank do in fact start with a $. When we look at the end of the lines, such as the broadcast line, we can see that ends $255. So it becomes very easy to be able to extract this information that exists at the end of a line. So let's return now to the slides, and we're to begin an understanding of how we can work with ranges within regular expressions.